Good morning, students. This is Professor Patty, and I am sharing a window here with you to show you our syllabus. I had a little whoopsie, and I cannot, I'm trying to figure out which activities were in there or not in there, but we're going to go through a few windows. So we have our course syllabus information. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a course schedule. Over here, it opens or closes to show you the content. So it might look like that, but if you open it, this section here should correlate with our page 18 of our syllabus, where our assignments start. So chapter 2, you can see here in your content, in your chapter content, there are 3 activities due. And then on the syllabus, first of all, the numbers are off. So that's clearly needs some editing. I think it's the generalist social work practice activity. And maybe the case activity do not need to be done. Yeah, which you will see if you zoom on over to Mind Map and look at your chapter 2 weeks. There are just the 3. So typically in this university, we go by the syllabus, but here's the thing. They can't make me take points off for you. And by the time people emailed me, it was already after the time of the week that people were turning things in. I just didn't feel like it was fair to tell people to go back in and add more work because I forgot to or missed an edit. Because as you can see, it does take me a lot of windows. Now, today I'm looking again at, these are the chapter activities that you can see. And these are the ones that I hold in a third screen so that I can hide or unhide the ones that we're using every semester in accordance with what everyone else is doing. Now, I'm going to close up because this week we are on module 5. Chapter 4. And I would like to show hidden because I wanted to show you one of our video activities. It's actually one of our helper studio activities. So I'm going to move this over here. And this is not something that is required. I just close that. How do I know where that guy is? All right. I don't know what I just did. I just moved it into the ether. Okay, let's try again. I don't know where it went. We're gonna do Helper Studio, Keeping Confidence Suicide. I do like this part of the Cengage text. Where's our video? Let's make it bigger. We're going to watch our video and kind of see what we see and know these are the dilemmas they want us to evaluate. What competencies, what's the values, and what are the ethical dilemmas? So I'm going to think about cardinal social worker values.
I've been trying to keep it all together, but honestly, I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do anymore. I've been feeling so overwhelmed with so much, with work and school and helping my mom. I don't know how much more I can take of this. I think that it would all just be better if all of this would just end right now.
Okay. Practice by adding videos, then select the video you would like to submit. I feel like that's too many steps. You must complete the reflection questions. Which of the cardinal social worker values? I looked in our glossary and there was not good info. I mean, there were not like terms, cardinal social work values are not in there. So I like to go to the NASW because we should have ethics, ethical principles, ethical standards, ethical responsibilities. No, nothing on here. So the cardinal social work values, I know we talked about values in chapter 1. I would say we value human life. I don't think this is a cardinal social work value. We talk a lot in the about justice and equity. We talk about those things and we advocate for fair treatment and taking each patient as seriously as others, regardless of factors of oppression. You guys might have a really less, I mean, this is not one you're submitting. You might have a less clumsy way of saying that. That's okay. I am kind of a free note taking person. I don't feel that these need to be in paragraph format, and I like bullet points. All right. What competency or competencies apply to this client in your work with her? Ethics. I have an ethical value here. We're talking specifically about keeping confidence suicide, and keeping confidence. We know that suicide is one of the things we're not allowed to keep confidence on. So this is something we have some words here that we know that we need to complete a risk assessment. And part of that risk assessment is talking to our patient about how some of the things that you say I cannot keep private. All right. So ethically, I want to tell that person that. To cultural competency. So they state in the beginning, and they stated in the beginning that this patient is a 25-year-old African-American female. What we know is that depression is underreported in females, and particularly in African-American females, and that healthcare providers do not accurately assess pain of African-American patients. So we need to know that, and know that we need to take her more seriously than we are naturally inclined to. We need to understand that we've been raised in a system that has subconsciously trained us not to perceive her pain as seriously as if we had another person from a less oppressed race or gender class sitting in front of us saying the same things with the same tone. Well, we did just talk about that. So ethical dilemmas that might arise. A dilemma is not an ethical violation. So we can't think, oh, I'm going to avoid ethical dilemmas my entire career because I'm this ethical being. That's not the point of that, right? Ethical dilemmas occur And the best way to avoid them is to tell on yourself and document it. So that's generally number one. If we have an ethical dilemma, what might we want to document? We might have an ethical dilemma if we are also treating Sophie's mom. There are confidentiality conflicts. Why is there a confidentiality conflict? Because when I treat multiple family members, it is always a very direct conversation before I work with them, to say, how do you think that that will go? And that's what I say is, how do you think that will go with me sharing this information? And I kind of lay it out for them how I think it will go. And based on the unique client system, maybe we want to do it or maybe we don't want to do it. And we discuss that. We discuss the dilemmas of, what if they ask me if you've been in the office? I generally will tell, well, I'll tell you that this is what I tell people. I am not in the business of reporting to your parent or to your child what your therapy frequency is. If you choose to talk about it outside of session, I am the one who can't talk about it. You can talk about anything that I say. Nothing I say to you is a secret. And if you all want to talk about me outside of session, that's totally fine. So if your parent comes in and tells me, hey, this patient, I think her name's Sophie. Sophie told me that she came in and you guys had a really great moment. I would say, oh, I'm glad that she shared that with you. Yeah, I really enjoy working with both of you. I reflect back. I acknowledge something that they said, but I very quickly turn it back around to, I really, I just did not offer any information. It was a simple validation and that's it. So that is an ethical dilemma that might arise. If there is a crisis, that changes. I might call Sophie's mom during the session and say, hi, we're having a moment and we're exploring some deep feelings, and some thoughts came up for Sophie that have me concerned about Sophie's safety. So we identified that you're a safety person for Sophie, and we've already discussed that she'd like to spend the night with you tonight, and I think she'd like to tell you a little bit more about that. So I'm connecting that person as a part of the safety plan. So that's a confidentiality conflict. It's a confidentiality. I can have a release of information in that instance. However, in the state of Ohio, you don't need a release of information under HIPAA to coordinate in times of crisis. So coordination in times of crisis changes our confidentiality requirements for obvious reasons. If I call 911, I have to tell them who the patient is. I have to share information. And if they're not in a capacity to provide it themselves or keep themselves safe, then I have to, as a matter of good Samaritan humanitarian case coordination, share that information. But that is a confidentiality conflict with Sophie's mom. The other thing that can happen is Sophie can run out of the room and leave. So one thing I did not notice, which I should, because I've been trained in this for so long, is the first thing that you do when a patient comes into your office and sits down is write down what they are wearing. So that when you have this confidentiality conversation right in this moment, when things have not escalated to a direct statement, because she said it would be easier if things would end. I don't want to be here anymore. She's making vague parasuicidal statements. She's not saying I am going to kill myself, right? So before she says those things, I say to her, oh, we'll save our answers and try to record. Record using your screen and microphone. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. My mind taps engage learning. That's the one. Why am I recording the screen? I don't know. Okay, standalone recorder. Record. Ooh, okay, so we're going to talk about Sophie. Sophie, I am hearing, so this is my response to Sophie that I'm recording in Video Helper. Sophie, I want to just know that your mood feels so low right now, and you're saying a lot of things about feeling overwhelmed, and I just like feel this exhaustion, right? And I want to sit with you in this. I also want to say some of the things that you're telling me sound final, and they're making my social worker ears perk up around something that I might have to say to people outside of this session, even if I don't want to, right? And that would be that it sounds like you're thinking maybe about ending your own life. When people say they're just, I mean, it just sounds like you're bone tired. I'm wondering if that thought has crossed your mind. So without getting too deep into suicide assessment, I want to tell you that most of the people that I talk to have depression, and depression is 90% of people who make an attempt at suicide have a depressive diagnosis. So immediately my concerns are kind of high. And I want to tell you, sometimes people say things and want to make plans or want to vent things, and it raises my level of concern so that I have to tell people outside of this room, right? Like, I would have to talk to someone in your life to make sure that you could stay safe. And nothing so far has made me think that, but before we go any further, I do want to share those things. So I have these kinds of conversations. Okay, we're gonna stop. Keep recording and close. We're gonna download the dialogue. We're gonna allow it to download. Done. Record. Okay, so that's where it is. It's called microphone.webm. I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to upload a video that I just recorded. And I have to find it. Okay. Recents is my favorite. There we go. So I can just drop it here. Begin upload. This one's a pretty quick one. Choo-choo. Now, we considered, oh, I wanted to go back and add more things on my reflection answers. If we're also treating Sophie's mom, or we're not treating Sophie's mom. There are confidentiality conflicts or there's ethical violations if Sophie is not suicidal, and then she leaves the office, and I say to her mom next time I see her, I'm really worried about Sophie, and I don't know if she was being totally honest in her last session, right? I want to be really sure before I have that conversation. And this is where your best friend is just telling on yourself and asking people. So I'm independently licensed and can do kind of whatever I want. Literally under the state of Ohio, I don't need to do anything. However, with our state social work, or with our national social work standards and our shared ethical standards, I called my friend who has equal licensure experience yesterday and said, hey, here's what I'm thinking about this case, but I don't want to file it in the normal way for the safety reason, and I don't want to file it in this way for the safety reason. I'm thinking about doing this and just documenting that I had this conversation with you. What do you think? And they went, that tracks. Yeah, I think I might also try this or this. So you just kind of spitball back and forth and put it right in the note, consultant on this one. So if I feel like I should call Sophie's mom and I don't know, that's my social work network, who, I'm not kidding, some of them are my CSU cohort that I went to school with, and some of them are my former students who have been my coworkers and colleagues over the last 8 to 10 years. So I will call them and say, I really want to call Sophie's mom, but I'm not sure if I just want to or if I'm supposed to. Can you talk it through with me? Now, if you don't have these fabulous mentors and coworkers, which should be your first resort should be your colleagues, your superiors, whoever you're meeting with for supervision, whoever the backup supervision is. Then if those people are not available, you can call mobile crisis. You can call the National Suicide Hotline because they have the protocols for pink slip, probate, 5150, crisis coordination. That's truly their whole job. And they receive a grant that covers any phone calls they receive. And their productivity is around crisis calls as well as information and referral for connecting with mental health resources. So even if it's not a red line crisis, you can feel empowered to use these community resources that are funded through our Ohio Department of Mental Health dollars and through our local in Cuyahoga County, the Adams Board, Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board in Cuyahoga County. And every county has their own that funds it. And the National Suicide Hotline is nationally funded to provide these kinds of services. So that's my sidebar. Okay. We prepared our submission, did we not? Yeah, reflection. Does that mean we've got it? No, see, you would think that you were submitted at this point, but you are not. This is why I like that we have one Helper Studio video and I like to show you them. So we want to include our file, which is titled microphone, remember? I did not retitle it. You do not have to retitle it because it'll just pop up in my grade book by the time you did it. So look, we have clarity, 2 unclear words. I think that's a good percentage for me. There are 19 filler words, which I have, I'm sure of it. There is a detailed analysis. Love that. 143 words per minute. That is something I work on. So love this. It's all transcripted. Please use your detailed analysis tools because they're dope and chill. And I want to remind you that your Helper Studio video is not due until November 8th. So I would love for this to just be informational for you and for you to say, wow, that's really cool in the textbook, and to have learned more about social work today. And this Sophie example is not one that is going to show up in your regular chapters. And hopefully you just have, it matches this week on Module 5, Chapter 4, the 3 activities for the week. So I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.